Nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, you over 1 million hellions in the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. Let's go back in time a little bit to early 2023, where the Weatherman, Disney CEO, made an appearance at Morgan Stanley's annual Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference, where Iger revealed that Disney is going to focus on quality over quantity. In late summer of 2023, Bob Iger once again said Disney to cut quantity and cost of upcoming films, focus on improving quality. In late 2023, we heard it once again. Disney exec talks quality over quantity. In May of 2024, Bob Iger reveals Disney's new plan for Marvel. Quality over quantity. And here we are almost a year to the day, and we get this. Disney CEO Bob Iger has admitted the company's film slate has struggled in post-pandemic times by focusing too much on quantity and not enough quality.
Is there a fucking echo in here?
I don't think I'm going out on a limb here by saying it's been a rough year for Disney and Marvel with two monumental flops on their hands. Daredevil flopped. Thunderbolts, as it was called when it was released over its first weekend, was the second lowest opening box office weekend in Marvel's history, which might have led them to pull the trigger on the whole asterisk thing a little sooner than they wanted to, although they might have planned the whole time to do it right after its first weekend. I have no idea. But admittedly, it did give them a bump on the Tuesday box office of $2 million. And it's still tracking behind Captain America 4 and tracking with the Eternals. Neither scenario is good. That being said, despite how I feel about the movie, it's well received by the critics. There's no surprise there, but it's genuinely and generally well received by the audience. And maybe it legs out a profit like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, a movie that I liked and a lot of people didn't, and maybe it doesn't. Time will tell. But admittedly, it's worrisome for Disney Marvel, and desperate times lead to desperate measures. And no, not just changing your movie's title after its opening weekend, actually admitting a little defeat and taking a little bit of responsibility. Now, don't get excited because we're talking about Disney here, but it is funny watching them blame each other. I guess this video could be called Disney Blames Marvel for Their Failures or Marvel Blames Disney for Their Failures. I'll choose one of them. At least this time they're not blaming the fans. This is from Variety following Disney's quarterly conference call featuring the Weatherman. The Marvel Cinematic Universe in particular hasn't restored its luster since the epic culmination in 2019's Avengers Endgame. There has been hits since COVID, like Deadpool and Wolverine, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Doctor Strange Mom, and now that I come to think of it, I think Thunderbolts is better than Doctor Strange Mom. But success has been widely inconsistent, as tentpoles like Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania, The Marvels, and Captain America: Brave New World were among Disney's first comic book franchise installments to lose money since the MCU brought superhero movies in vogue.
Hold up, wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Aren't you the same Variety who said less than 3 months ago, Captain America: Brave New World flies to heroic $100 million over President's Day holiday weekend?
Would you look at that?
However, Iger views Thunderbolts, which is now called the New Avengers, which debuted last weekend as the Thunderbolts to $76 million, as the first and best example of the studio's new priority to make better movies, even if that means there are fewer of them. Last time I checked, we're getting 3 Marvel movies and 3 Marvel series this year, including the upcoming Ironheart, the Fantastic Four featuring the female Silver Surfer, and the race-swapped Wonder Man. Now here's where the Weatherman seems to take a little bit of responsibility, and he does because he can't blame Bob Chapek directly anymore because you can only do that for so long, and the man was never in charge. We all know that in our zeal to flood our streaming platform with more content, no, that was you, Bob, that we turned to all of our creative engines, including Marvel, and had them produce a lot more, Iger said during Wednesday's investor call. We also learned over time that quantity does not necessarily beget quantity.
Is there a fucking echo in here?
Yup.
And frankly, we've all admitted to ourselves that we've lost a little focus by making too much.
No shit.
By consolidating a bit and having Marvel focus much more on their films, we believe that will result in better quality.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Translation, Kevin Feige is going to focus on film because he can't make television, and now somebody else is going to oversee it, making it essentially a separate division, which it was before under Ike Perlmutter and Jeff Loeb, who both Kevin Feige and Bob Iger ran out of Disney. This brings us to our next article, which could be interpreted as the Kevin Feige and Marvel side of the story, and hey, a lot of this is going to sound familiar. From the Wall Street Journal, Disney wanted more from Marvel, now it wants less. The superhero studio is cutting back on TV production and fixing its film slate after fans lost the plot. Allow me to fix this headline and byline for you. Marvel blames Disney for its failures. The superhero studio is cutting back on TV production because they don't know how to make it and fixing the film slate after they completely f***ed it up and Marvel lost the plot. I think that's a little more accurate. Now, I mentioned this in my previous video, but it's worth repeating. The head of Marvel Studios told colleagues recently that watching all the comic book giants' new TV shows and films had started to feel more like homework than entertainment. Welcome to the chuds, Kevin Feige. The problem, Kevin Feige acknowledged, is that in an effort to satisfy parent company Disney's hunger for content on its new streaming service, the studio behind The Avengers churned out too many movies and shows with interconnected stories. And I'm sure you keen viewers and listeners out there are picking up what they're putting down. Spin. The deluge of material from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU, or MCU on D+, overwhelmed and eventually alienated viewers. Oh, we have been overwhelmed and alienated, but not by what the Washington Street Journal is insinuating. I'll get to that. It also stretched Feige and his team's resources thin, diluting the quality of their output, Marvel's box office sales, streaming popularity, and formerly untouchable position in pop culture suffered. Not as much as the audience. Now Feige is leading an internal overhaul aimed at getting the studio back on track. Marvel is making fewer TV shows with standalone stories that don't require prior knowledge of the MCU. Feige is focused on fixing the studio's movie slate following recent flops like February's Captain America: Brave New World.
WTF, Gary? WTF? What the f*** does WTF mean? What the f***? Oh.
Again, I have to point out that now it's okay to say that Captain America: Brave New World is a flop and that Marvel has put out mostly since Endgame. Keeping in mind, based on those early reactions from the Thunderbolts, Marvel is back since the last time it was back, and it will be back when the Fantastic Four comes out since the last time it was back. And apparently Marvel's already had a hard reset with the Thunderbolts * New Avengers, which again opened up to $76 million. Oh wait, correction, $74 million, which according to the Washington Street Journal would put it to the lowest tier of the company's releases. Ouch. Now, Feige declined requests for an interview. This article is based on interviews with more than a dozen people who have worked at Marvel or done business with the studio. Cutting out all the fluff, this is where all the current and former Disney Marvel employees start blaming Disney. Soon after Endgame, creative staffers began meeting in their office on the Disney studio lot to figure out where the MCU could possibly go next. In the nearby executive building, Disney senior leadership had another priority. Chief Executive Bob Iger was launching D+ as his answer to Netflix. He needed loads of new series for it and was counting on Marvel to provide many of them. The strategy became just expansion, 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 said a person who worked at Marvel at the time. Feige recently told colleagues he agreed to the plan because of a zealousness to tell more stories and a desire to be an excellent corporate citizen, a good old company man. It turned out to be a mistake. Poor Kevin Feige, who systematically got rid of a lot of people who were helping him through the first 3 phases, was spread too thin. People who worked at Marvel in the early 2020s, which was what, a year ago, said it was challenging to secure enough time with Feige to get his feedback. As a result, they sometimes spent weeks on work that proved irrelevant once he weighed in. They found themselves with little time to implement his changes before a deadline. Considering everything I've seen on Disney Plus, you could have taken all the time in the world and none of that crap would have been better. You would have been better off not releasing it at all. Quick reminder, this Washington Street Journal article came out after the Thunderbolts, but before Bob Iger's investor call today, which said a lot of the same things. This brings us to Marvel fatigue. The internal dysfunction began to show in Marvel's output. Yes, it did. Viewers complained that there was too much Marvel content to keep up with, and a growing proportion of it felt subpar. That's putting it mildly. Fans rejected big-budget event series like the alien attack drama Secret Invasion, which destroyed Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury some more. Shows the company was proud of, including Miss Marvel, about a Pakistani-American teenager who gained superpowers, failed to attract many viewers. And you know that's right in line with Miss Marvel's inability to attract comic book buyers due to her multiple canceled series. And let's not forget Miss Marvel tanked a video game to the tune of $60 million. And tell me if you haven't heard this one before, the Washington Street Journal essentially admits that Marvel's 2 biggest hits, well, one biggest hit because the other one belongs to Sony, were just gimmicks. In theaters, Marvel's biggest hits during this period were nostalgia plays that tied up old storylines such as Spider-Man No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine. Up to 2019, Disney Marvel, along with Sony, had $9 billion films. In the last 6 years, they've had 2. Employees talked regularly about Marvel fatigue. They worried they had created a no new fans club. On this, I disagree. Considering you filled so much of your content since Endgame with the message, it's nauseating. Considering what actors have said about the fans on the red carpet or in interviews, considering what creatives have said about the fans on the red carpet or interviews, considering you made the fans the bad guy in She-Hulk, what you created was the fans club, which just so happens to be, to this day, to this very moment, the biggest mistake Disney Marvel has made and yet to acknowledge. Now, the explanation of what the No New Fans Club from this Marvel employee is, in which people unfamiliar with the state of the MCU couldn't watch a new release because they have no idea what's going on. And that's the spin. There's just too much stuff, which is utter bullshit. Being kind, if a little over half of Disney Marvel stuff over the last few years had been pretty good, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about a hard reset again. And now they're going back to the arsonist to put out the fire, Kevin Feige. And I don't have an answer for this because I don't think anybody could replace Kevin Feige. He's done some great things, but not lately. He has clearly lost his touch. And the article gives a pretty good example, like, again, Kevin Feige's inability to crack the code on a Blade movie. I mean, how in the hell do you get Blade to kill vampires in a movie? Or when production started on the 2023 film The Marvels, the filmmakers got little attention from the overstretched Feige. After Quantumania bombed, Feige became more involved, hoping to avoid a second faceplant in 1 year. How did that work out? And now for this year anyway, everything is relying on the Fantastic Four, starring Pedro Pascal and featuring one of Marvel's biggest mistakes in years, and that's saying something: the female Silver Surfer. Put simply, it was just a dumb business decision. You risk alienating a lot of fans with a female Silver Surfer, and you would have risked alienating absolutely no one with the real one, Norrin Rad. But I guess the good news is everybody at Disney and Marvel are pointing fingers at each other and not at you. And that's a first. You know what we say around here: progress, not perfection. So as Disney Marvel passive-aggressively throw barbs at each other while they're trying to figure out who's responsible for these failures, I think I can save them both a lot of time and speak for most of the audience. It's both your fault.
Nerdrotic.com.
If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening this long. I will see you in the next video.